Hey YouTube, RicoKnows here. Going to talk to you guys about the NFL draft. Remember, I evaluate and break down every single team in the NFL draft, right? The 2025 NFL draft. If you weren't aware, all you have to do, go to the homepage, go to playlist, and you will see my 2025 NFL draft assessments and reviews. Yes, I do this every single year. You can find the other playlists for 2023 or 2024. But here's the 2025 class, and we're going to talk about the Baltimore Ravens in this video. They had 11 draft picks. 11 draft picks. And if I can describe to you what was going down with the Baltimore Ravens for the NFL draft, it's as follows, okay? They were there, and they decided we're playing franchise mode on Madden. Have you ever played franchise mode on Madden? If you trade down, you get a bunch of picks, you get another bunch of picks, you go and find the guys you want. It's like the movie Draft Day, only it's not real. These guys did this. Let me tell you guys something. The Ravens didn't have a single trade last year during the draft. They literally sat there and said, yo, we'll just make picks when it comes to us, bro. We ain't trading up or trading down. We'll take whatever's there. That's it. Needs of the Army, right? We'll just take whatever shows up, bro. We're good. I love it. I love it. We ain't tricking for nobody. So they never trade up, really, in the last 5 years. I can count on two hands how many trades the Ravens have done during the draft. I think it's like 8 trades in the last 5 years. They don't trade. That's number one. So then this year, they trade back and get so many picks. And now you see this, right? We just did the Falcons yesterday. And what did the Falcons show up with? The Falcons showed up with 5 picks. 5 picks in the draft. Because they had to trade up to get a guy. They traded back into the first round. They had to trade up to get Xavier Watts. They're giving away picks left and right. The Ravens, a winning franchise, we don't get down like that. So shout out to them. Kudos to the Ravens for picking 11 guys. Now, a lot of people want to talk about the 8th round. The 8th round is undrafted free agents. I don't know how a lot of undrafted free agents make this team. I'm going to talk to you about some of the undrafted free agents because I'm excited about some of them, and I'll show you and I'll prove to you why. And I want to give a big shout out to the Ravens because I know they're watching this video right now. Because I know they watch all my content. They have to. The way they drafted, they watch all my content. So let's get into it. First pick in the draft for them, at the end of the first round, they take Malaki Starks. If you aren't aware, safeties going in the first round is a rarity. Okay? You got to be absolutely phenomenal as a safety to go in the first round. My boy Nick Manwari did not go in the first round. What are we talking about? You got to be out of this world as a safety to go in the first round. And if you're not paying attention, the Ravens have 2 first-round safeties, Kyle Hamilton and now Malaki Starks. Shout out to them. They got it all. They got it all. It's incredible stuff. So let's talk about it. Malaki Starks. In high school, he played running back. I watched most of these players played running back in high school, right? Well, here in Georgia, 2A, I believe, at the time, Jefferson. You guys know Sammy Brown, the linebacker at Clemson. Everybody talking Jefferson. Before him was this man right here, Malaki Starks, and he was balling. You knew he was a bona fide NFL product. So I've always been in Malaki Starks' corner. You go to Georgia where it's loaded, and you're starting from day one, and you are the bee's knees. Now, there's some other safeties out there that people talk about. Caleb Downs. I talk about Dylan Thieneman, right? I talk about some of these stars. Jonas Sanker. Watts. There's players that I really believe in at the safety position. Malaki Starks is like known goods. There's no way you get this wrong. He's a leader amongst men. He doesn't have to leave the field. He played nickel. There's times where he's lined up over the slot. Because, you want safeties to cover tight ends. Well, he can cover slot receivers. He don't need to come off the field. I love his versatility, and for he and Kyle Hammond to be on the field is a problem. Whoa, I never make mistakes, but here we are. Shout out to Malaki Starks. Complete slam dunk of a draft pick. Way to sit tight and just wait for him to drop to you. Speaking of dropping to you, Mike Green, towards the end of the second round, this man led all of the FBS in sacks. And he drops to the end of the second round. He was crying. He was emotional when he got picked. I really hope he remembers that after his first arrest. I just hope this man does not get arrested. I hope he is not a criminal. I hope he's not what everybody says he is. But I can tell you this. He was not on my draft board at all. I don't care how good you are. I'm not investing millions in you. I won't hire you. Right? I'm an employer of people in this world. I run a business. You don't get hired by me. Nah. That's why we ask those questions. Are you guilty of this? Are you guilty of that? I got to know who I'm hiring. And from my perspective, Mike Green initially went to Virginia, and he left. Why did he leave? Why did he leave Virginia? Well, there was 2 accusations made against him, and I want to be very clear, they're accusations. But all you defenders of criminals, all you guys who go out there and say, nah, they lying on his name. No. These accusations were made well in advance of the NFL draft. They were made a long time ago. He has 2 accusers from 2 different locations. One from high school, one from the first university he went to. The common denominator here is Mike Green. I hope he got himself together. I hope he didn't assault those women, first and foremost. I'm all about hoping for the best in somebody. But I really hope there's no victims of this guy's actions. Is he a good football player? Sure. Would I have drafted him? No. And that's the end of that. Now, Ravens, did you make a good choice? I think you did. If you really look at it, and we go to the rounds and we start talking about edge rushers, and this is an edge rusher, a very skilled one, at the end of the round. You see here troubled players. Am I crazy? Oh, I'm in the first round. Whoa. I'm like, what am I looking at? Pierce is a troubled player as well. Excuse me. Let's go to the second round. But you'll see here, guys like Shamar Turner. These are all undraftable dudes at the end of the second round. And I say undraftable. Look at Mike Green, Shamar Turner, and Omar Norman Lott. You guys want me to peel back the curtain a little bit? I'm going to do something right now. Let me do something real quick. I'm going to pull up 2025, and I think I put it on my transfer portal spreadsheet, if you will. I'm going to pull up an Excel spreadsheet right now. It's loading. I don't know where it's at. Says it's opening up. Here it goes. It's on this other screen. And let's go to defensive lineman right here. Defensive tackle draft. Look who's in red. Look who's in red. Omar Norman Lott and Shamar Turner. Now, these are my notes on every single player that's draft eligible. And if I find red flags on somebody, I'll give some guys green flags. But if I find a red flag on somebody, I tell you right now, they're off my draft board. So in my evaluation, Omar Norman Lott, can't draft him. Shamar Turner, can't draft him. Oh, by the way, if we go to edge rushers, Abdul Carter, I said you can't draft him just because of how high they were ranking him. Not a character concern, but here you go. James Pierce and Mike Green. Just proof that I had this before the draft. And if you watched the pre-draft live streams that I do, right? If you go in here, you hit the live tab, and you scroll back a little bit, and you see these drafts right here, NFL draft, and you go back and watch the defensive lineman episode, defensive end, linebacker episodes, defensive tackle episodes. You go back and watch these. It's on the live tab. You'll learn a lot about these players and what I had to say about them at that moment, okay? And for me, I just feel like you can't draft Mike Green. Now, who else was left on the board? A bunch of undraftable guys. Now, if you're looking for an edge rusher, you'd have to go to the third round, and let's see who came off the board in the third round. Well, Darius Alexander's a great defensive tackle, but there we go. Ashton Gillette, I think he's a much better pick than Mike Green. He was productive at Louisville. He can get after the quarterback. I understand you want to take Mike Green. The potential's there. He led the country in sacks. I'm picking guys like this that just don't have problems. Landon Jackson is my guy. I think the Bills got a slam dunk 10 picks later. I really do. If I go in here and I show you my rankings, NFL draft rankings before the draft, and I pull it up, look at my edge rushers. Look at Landon Jackson right there, ahead of Mike Green, 2 spots. I had Landon Jackson ahead of Mike Green, 2 spots. And the Bills got him 10 picks later. And I know Landon Jackson is a bona fide leader and has had no problems while at Arkansas. Just a beast. Shout out to LoJack. So, I value character. I value talent. But I wouldn't have made that pick. Now, is it a terrible pick? Not necessarily. Not if he does everything right. Not if he stays out of trouble. It's not a terrible pick. It's just not the pick I would have made. And we're all different. Some coaches like certain things. Some players, some analysts like certain things. I know what I like. And I don't like that. Okay? I don't know why I'm spinning here. And we can't see the rest of these picks. This is crazy. My internet's working just fine. I'm still recording, talking. I got everything going. This is weird. We'll just be patient for a little bit. I hate to do this in the middle of a recording. So I'll just move on, I guess. Who was the next pick? They drafted 11 guys. I can't see the next pick. I'll hit refresh. Let's try that. Well, that works. There we go. Next pick, Emery Jones. So I was somebody pre-draft. I'm a lot higher on Emery Jones than everybody else. He was my 6th best tackle in the draft. I like Emery Jones a lot. First and foremost, he was a superstar in high school. He and Will Campbell both go to LSU, and since they got there, they've been starters 3 years in a row. They've never not been starters, both of them. So one guy's seen as a superstar, and I love Will Campbell. He's got short arms, supposedly. And the other guy, Emery Jones, everybody just kind of goes, oh, yeah, he's all right. Oh, yeah, that guy's pretty cool. No, man, he's more than all right. I like him. Beast. And if you want to know something about Emery Jones and all the offensive linemen that they drafted, they're road graders. They're great with the run game. I'm watching Emery Jones on tape, and he just gets to that second level, and he keeps working throughout the play because Jaden Daniels is such a dual-threat quarterback. Well, guess what he's blocking for now? Guess who he's blocking for? One of the most dynamic dual-threat quarterbacks out there. So I love the draft pick. I thought it was great value in the 3rd round. He's not a starter. Good depth, not a starter. A future starter, maybe. But I like Emery Jones. I like the pick. Let's talk about this pick right here. Teddye Buchanan. Teddye Buchanan. Oh, Rico. Oh, my God. They drafted a linebacker named Teddye Buchanan from Cal. Well, he's not really from Cal. Okay, he's from UC Davis. Played at UC Davis his whole career. Went to Cal for the last year. I want to pull up what I said about Teddye Buchanan during the Linebacker podcast. I had no idea, for full disclosure here, I had no idea what NFL teams value. Let me make that very clear. I don't read mock drafts. I don't read team needs. I don't read anything like that before the draft. Before the draft, what I do is go back and watch tape on draft-eligible players. And then I put them in order how I see fit. I don't care what anybody's rankings say. Never let them influence me at all. I have my rankings based upon my analysis and my breakdown of their film. And what's really cool is I will see an NFL team go out and sign a lot of my guys after the draft. Like if some of my guys didn't get drafted, they still signed them. And that, to me, tells me that I'm doing the right thing in my evaluations. Because there's NFL teams evaluating the same players and valuing them the way I did. I'll give you an example. The linebackers that the Ravens have, they drafted, if you look in here, they drafted Teddye Buchanan right here. They also signed Jay Higgins and Chandler Martin after the draft. That means they got 3 linebackers that I really believe in. And if you look, my rankings for linebackers, look, there's Jay Higgins, there's Teddye Buchanan, and there's Chandler Martin. They literally took my favorite linebackers and my hidden gem linebackers. They signed 3 of these guys. I only have 10 listed. And 3 of them got drafted, and they signed 3 of these guys. We're evaluating linebackers the same, the Ravens and I. Okay? And I did a deep hidden gem on Teddye Buchanan, and I didn't know NFL teams liked him. I didn't know he was going to get drafted. Listen to what I say about him. Okay? Let me kill my mic for a second. Then there's Teddye Buchanan. You got to draft Teddye, bro. You got to draft Teddye. Somebody's going to ignore it. That's fine. Shout out to St. Ignatius College Prep in San Francisco. This is a 3-star quarterback coming out of high school, quarterback linebacker. So he goes to UC Davis. I've had a couple of really good players go to UC Davis in the last couple of years. Shout out to Carter Vargas, running back. Shout out to Stacey Dobbins, wide receiver. I've had a couple guys that were RicoKnows hidden gems go to UC Davis. Now, he went to UC Davis a while ago. He wasn't on my radar then, but he played great at UC Davis. Then he transfers to Cal for this final year. And what's he do, guys? He goes out there and he's first team all ACC. And he's playing out of his mind. I think he has a chance to shock the NFL. Number one, he's 6'2", 233. And when you increased his level of competition, he didn't look overwhelmed. So you're playing great in the FCS. All anybody's ever going to say is, so what? Prove it. Do it somewhere else. Well, he comes to the ACC and he proved it and he did it somewhere else. We still haven't found his peak. We haven't found his ceiling. And I think Buchanan's got a shot to make it in the NFL. So we'll see what happens there. So I told you I think he has a shot to make it in the NFL. Well, now he's a 4th-round draft pick. Of course he's going to make it in the NFL at that point. But I'm truly ecstatic for the Ravens for evaluating linebackers just the way I did. And it's not just linebackers. They went in and drafted one of my offensive linemen, and then right after Teddye Buchanan, they go and draft Carson Vinson. Carson Vinson, an HBCU kid, an FCS kid. Whose radar is he on? FCS. These guys don't get drafted. HBCUs, every year, no HBCU players are getting drafted. None. And I try to pick a few every year. But this year, we got one drafted in the 5th round. And if you're saying to yourself, well, Rico, how did you know him? Did you know him? What did you do? Bro, here it is. He was my number 2 offensive tackle that I liked in this draft. My favorite. I said favorite. Carson Vinson. These are my favorite players up here. He was number 2 during the podcast. That's why you got to watch the podcast. Before the draft, you would know all these players. And I love this kid's game. Watched his tape, thought he was an absolute monster. Let's see what I said about him before the draft. The next guy, though, is Carson Vinson, and this will break the streak. Remember we had a streak for a little while here where they weren't drafting HBCU guys? Carson Vinson's going to get drafted, and he's an HBCU guy out of Alabama A&M. This is a young man. He's 6'7", 314. He's huge. Shout out to Panther Creek, his high school in North Carolina. But Carson Vinson, he has this RAS score. You guys know what RAS is from the Combine? His RAS score is 9.39 out of 10. What that means is among 1,395 offensive tackles. 1,395 offensive tackles since 1987. He ranks in the top 5% of offensive tackles athletically. His numbers are amazing. He had a Combine invite. HBCUs don't get Combine invites. And he went out there and he did his thing. Since 1987, his RAS score would rank him 86th overall. That's remarkable, bro. That's remarkable. We're talking about 25 years plus another 13, 38 years. And he's in the 86th spot. You had 38 years to put people ahead of him, and he's one of these guys. Now, granted, most of the tackles nowadays are scoring better than the tackles from back in the day, so maybe it's not as impressive as you think, but I think Carson Vinson, when I watched him, he looked like a complete athlete. He really did. Then we have Brandon Crenshaw-Dixon. So I'm talking about an HBCU player pre-draft, and he gets drafted by the Ravens. The Ravens looked at offensive linemen and linebackers just the same way I did. And their scouting department's watching the content, bro. And if they're not, there's always some hater in the comments like, oh, Rico, nobody's watching you. They don't listen to you. Nobody's watching you. Let me tell you something, man. It's not a coincidence when I'm pointing out random players and they're getting drafted by your favorite team. It's not a coincidence. They put their pants on one leg at a time like everybody else. NFL scouts are not superhuman. Maybe I am. Shout out to the Ravens, okay? So they got themselves Carson Vinson. Next round, Belil Cone. I wish I could pull it up, but I just don't have time right now. Maybe I do. I mean, we're here. We're talking. I can go to my playlist. I think it was called the Next Up playlist. It's something I created back in the day. I'm going to pull it up. Here it is. I'm pulling it up on another screen right now. And way back in the day, I'm going to look for it. Give me a second here. Let's look for Belil Cone video. You guys won't be able to read this. I'm barely able to read this. A long time ago, guys, there was this defensive back from Indiana State. And he reached out to me on TikTok and he said, could you please do a film review on me? I'm trying to get some shine. I'm going to be a star someday. So I went and looked at him and he said he was transferring to Western Michigan from the FCS to the FBS. And I did a video on him. And I want you to think about that for a second. What are the chances? How many transfers are going FCS to FBS, going to the MAC, and I did a film review on you, and then you made it to the NFL as a draft pick? How often does that happen? I don't know, bro. But we got it right. And I'm trying to find Belil Cone here. I know he's in here somewhere. There's a lot of videos to go. Oh, there's only 99. He should be here. Now I say that sometimes we change the titles of playlists, and I have people who organize this for me and work on different things. You got to stay organized, and somebody manages that for me. I don't do it myself. I apologize. I do outsource some things. I do hire people. Yeah, I don't know if it's here. We're down to the last 20 videos or so. But this is a young man who played in the MAC, and he looked good doing it. Let me tell you that right now. He's kind of sticky, gets in and out of routes, gets on people's hips, doesn't quit on plays. Oh, he's definitely not here. I don't see him. I thought he would be here. Maybe he's in the transfer portal playlist, which is a much longer playlist. We can't even get to it. Oh, by the way, man, I know he's here somewhere. I'm just reading this as small as possible, and I hate, it's hard to read you can't read it. It's hard for me to read it. I got perfect vision. Aiden's in the portal. Aiden Bowe. He's back in the transfer portal, just so you know. Walker Sneed's got some FBS offers. He's like an 8th grader right now. And my boy Jeremiah Cooper. Beast in next year's draft. You can't get me off it. He'll be ranked really high on my charts, is what I meant to say. Man, where is he? Nonetheless, I did a film review on this guy. He's a pretty cool kid. Glad he got drafted. Hope he makes the team. Remember, 11 draft picks. It's very difficult to make the team with 11 draft picks. But Belil Cone is him. Okay, so shout out to him. Hope he does well. Next guy, Tyler Loop. Now, you guys know I hate kickers. Hate them with a passion. Now, I don't hate them personally. I don't know kickers. I know 0 kickers. I don't even watch film on kickers. I just know that when I'm gambling, or at least when I'm advising gamblers, they lose a lot of money because of a kicker in college, an extra point, a field goal, whatever. I watched Tyler Loop make a 62-yard field goal. 62-yard field goal against Houston. Okay? Good kicker. He used to be the damn punter back in the day. So you needed to find a replacement for that Justin Tucker guy. Well, you got a guy with a huge leg and the greatest kicker in Arizona history. This is the greatest kicker in Tucson's history. Okay, shout out to them. But they drafted Tyler Loop in the 6th round. I don't know if I'm doing that. Next player they take, LaJohntay Wester. I've been talking about LaJohntay Wester for about 3 years. Right? The only thing that's really turned me off about LaJohntay is obviously these ignorant-ass Colorado fans show up and they just start talking out of control. And they every time you read about a Colorado kid, it's like the greatest player that's ever been in camp is a Colorado guy. And it don't matter if it's Xavier Worthy, who's not a Colorado guy. He was there for like 6 months. LaJohntay Wester was in Colorado for 6 months. He played his whole career at FAU. Had over 100 receptions at FAU, but this is what they're going to talk about. Colorado, we represented. We got all these guys drafted. All this. Just shut up. Okay? LaJohntay Wester is a nice slot receiver. No, he's not going to be a starter, but he's got a chance to be the punt returner, from what I hear. And I hope he makes the team. I hope he becomes a receiver they can rely upon, because I've always thought he was a professional, and I always thought he was good. Don't read all these stories online, okay? A lot of it's propaganda, and they just drop names for clicks. Don't do that. LaJohntay Wester is a good football player. I've always felt he can play anywhere. I'm happy for him. Congratulations. Aeneas Peebles. Aeneas Peebles, a guy I really believed in. If you watch the pre-draft content, I talked about it. Transferring from Duke to Virginia Tech. Little undersized. It's one of those tweener type dudes. When you're 6'1", you're typically a defensive tackle at that point. You're not an edge rusher. Edge rusher's got to be somewhere between 6'3" and 6'6". It's just the truth. You want to get good leverage at defensive tackle. So he's a defensive tackle. You got to stop that tush push. He's just 282. He's not big enough. So then at that point, when you're 6'1", 282, you become a 3-4. You become a edge rusher, but in a 3-4 defense, because you can't be flanked out on the outside. Putting that pressure, you go kind of to the 4-eye or the inside of the tackle, over the guard type alignment is what I'm talking about. I don't want to go too far into the weeds. I don't know who I'm talking to in this video. I don't know how many of you guys know about alignments and how defensive linemen work, but love Aeneas Peebles. I hope he gets in the rotation. He can play football. He's a good kid. Okay, that's a good kid. The only problem is you went from Duke to Virginia Tech, and your production took a hit. Maybe it's because you were out there with APR, Antoine Powell Randall, APR, right? Yeah, you were out there with him. You were out there with some other players, and everybody's sharing the load and things like that. But did I just say sharing the load? Put it all over their back. Okay, Robert Longerbeam. Robert Longerbeam from Rutgers. This kid just went out there and proved that he's crazy fast. Now, he batted down a ton of passes this year, but he didn't get a ton of interceptions. But passes deflected really matters. You're breaking on the ball. He's got great closing speed. He can catch up, and he's got great closing speed. We saw that on display at the Combine. Homie goes out there and he runs a 4.39 40. So sub 4.4 speed, and his first 10 yards are as fast as lightning. His 10-yard split was fast as all hell. So when you look for corners who can get out of their breaks, T-stepping, who can get out of their breaks and actually get to the ball, you got a guy in Longerbeam. Now, not being 6 feet tall really hurts him. He's a little undersized for what they're looking for. But nickel, let this guy work, maybe earn a spot on the team. I like Longerbeam a lot. Is it a flyer at the end of the 6th round? Sure. It's not a terrible pick at all. Okay. The last guy that they picked here is Garrett Dellinger, another starting lineman from LSU. Not bad, man. He started 26 games. He's played everything on the offensive line. I'm talking about center, guard, tackle. He has versatility, and he comes from a nice program that has good offensive linemen. It doesn't hurt to have him get a tackle from there, get whoever you can from LSU. It doesn't hurt to get those pros like that. But yeah, all in all, 11 guys who have a pretty solid chance to make the team. And I just want to give a big shout out to the Ravens evaluating players just the way I do. And I need everybody to understand this. I make the evaluation on players before the draft. The way a team drafts validates whether or not I'm correct. Understand what I'm saying? I don't get to make analysis after the draft. I don't do mock drafts. So if I'm telling you a player is good and he's nowhere on the radar and an NFL team drafts him, me and that team evaluate that player equivalently. And if you see that enough, and I'm consistent enough with my evaluation of players and what I'm saying in those pre-draft podcasts, and it aligns with the way teams are drafting, I'm doing something right. Now, I make a lot more money than those NFL executives or those people in those scouting departments. That's why I don't even bother trying to get those jobs. I just know that I'm doing it right over here. Shout out to me. Your friends don't know, but Rico knows. Stay up, y'all.